We are live. Here we go. Another Kali Yuga conversation. So the reason why we are doing today is because tomorrow is a really special day. So tomorrow begins the beginning of a brand new cycle for Temple Tribal Fusion and for myself. So today I'm wanting to share a little bit more about why I'm doing these Kali Yuga conversations and how this ties in with the brand new, hello friends, nice to see you popping on here, how this all has to do with the brand new 4-week Odissi series coming up. So the series that I'm going to speak about is right here. You're welcome to take a peek. So Kali Yuga, we are in Kali Yuga, and this is the third Kali Yuga conversation that I've done. If you want to see the other ones, you can go right here. I have a nice, easy to use YouTube playlist for you. So you can see all the previous Kali Yuga conversations because I go into detail about what Kali Yuga is, why that relates to us. So that's right here. Hey, David, nice to see you here. So if you want to see the previous Kali Yuga conversations, they're long, and so I've chopped them up. And my goal is to be off of this Facebook Live right now by 6 o'clock. So I'm just going to drop some nuggets for you because we're in obviously a really crucial time for humanity and for the planet. And it seems like a really great time to, let me just make sure all the audio is working. Great. If for some reason you couldn't hear me talking, please let me know in the chat thing. Anyway, so in this incredible time that we are in together, unprecedented, but yet prophesized by many of the ancient cultures around the world, it is helpful for us to be discussing with each other what the ancients were prophesizing. And within that, we can find their whispers and their clues about how to pass through this time in as an awakened and empowered state of being, both for us individually and for us collectively. And it's really based on community. And the type of community that I am praying and doing what I can to create is really a sacred community based on sacred principles, ancient principles, and principles that have longevity, principles that work with the natural cycles of the universe and the world and all the celestial bodies that we are participating with. It's looking a little glitchy, but let's just see. Technology, what can you do? So anyway, this Odissi Indian classical dance series is not actually only Indian classical dance. But even still, if it was just Indian classical dance, it would still be appropriate for Kali Yuga and for this really radical, shifty, unprecedented, unpredictable time we're in. And you may ask, why? Why is a dance practice something of value to times like this? Well, in my experience, this particular dance for women, well, it's men and women do practice this dance, and it is empowering on every level. Obviously, physically, it's very physically demanding, mentally and spiritually, energetically, all the above. And so when we have strength of our physical, mental, and energetic spiritual bodies working together, and an understanding of world cycles and cosmic cycles, we can start finding our own flow within that and not taking things so personally, looking at a bigger view. And now that doesn't mean that things are going to stop happening that are scary or really jarring or are going to make us lose sleep at night. But there's a way that we can approach what comes to us with more acceptance and compassion and just sovereignty. So self-strength, self-empowerment. So that's really the foundation and the intention of both of these series tomorrow. So we have series 1, which is that's starting tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. And that is actually something that I'm really, really excited about. So we are going to take 4 weeks to go onto the internal aspect of the yogini temple dancer. So we will have Wednesdays being the physical practice, the choreography, the actual dance. And then we'll have Tuesdays, tomorrow, Tuesdays, being all of the internal work, which is something that I haven't really been able to give on such a wide spread offering because I'm usually plugging it into the dance or the yoga. So for example, tomorrow we're going to get specifically into the her story of the ancient temple dance tradition, specifically from Orissa, which is where I live and study when I'm blessed and lucky. And then that unfolded into the Indian classical dance that we'll be working on Wednesdays called Odissi. So I would like to just review the notes that I sent out today on my Facebook page. It's really beautiful. There's some quotes from one of the original masters who was part of the crew that put Odissi Indian classical dance together in the 50s and 60s. His name is, it's a long one, Guru Pankaj Charan Das. Guru Pankaj Charan Das. He was actually raised in a temple dance home, as much as temple dance could exist in the 1900s. He was part of that family. And so he says, so he was raised within the women who were the temple dancers, who were the dancers that were carrying on this tradition. Even though it was in a modern time, they still were carrying as much as they could the essence of the ancient temple dance tradition. So, which I'm going to talk more about in a moment, and why we're having this Kali Yuga conversation and talking about temple dance. They actually are one and the same. So he says, he's talking about the essence and the intention of temple dancers from antiquity. So Mahari is the name that we use to call the temple dancers from this part of India. So he says, the Mahari dance was an outpouring of her soul, the language of the soul and the language of the entire body, as a means of union, which yoga is the term we use for union in Sanskrit, as a means of union with the divine. So the temple dancer is moving her body as a language of the soul, as an offering, as a way of having union with the divine. And so why does that have anything to do with our time right now? Why does it matter dancing and having a relationship with the divine? Well, from my personal experience, having a relationship with something greater than our little infinite human bodies and lives, when we can actually have a sincere, intimate relationship with the divine, again, just like I was saying moments ago, having that relationship with something greater than ourselves, something more long-lasting than our short, maybe 90, 100 years, if we're lucky, of life, and just having that relationship with something that you can feel is really at your back no matter what you have to face. And so having those relationships with the divine, and then finding the kind of practices that you can actually give your whole body, heart, and soul to. And that was literally what the temple dance traditions were. So I am going to see if I can do something about this weird glitch. Don't know. Okay. Well, anyway, so I am going to take you on a little journey back in time, perhaps around plus or minus 2,000 years ago. And I'm going to invite you to, you could even just close your eyes and enjoy this journey for a moment. But I'm going to walk you backwards to when, and this is in Indian, her and his story. And actually, before I get into this, I want to just say that there are, like any tradition stories or any her or his stories, many different stories. And depending on which tradition or lineage or even person you're talking to, it could be a very different take. So I've been going to India for 25 years. I've been deeply immersed in study, research, practice, both from the Indian yogini tradition and my first trip to India 25 years ago. I got dropped in the middle of the Tibetan culture as well, right up on the border of Tibet and India. So it was the inside, the high Tibetan plateau, but within the Indian border. So since for the past 25 years, those two traditions have taken over my life personally, study, practice, and now professionally. So what I'm sharing with you is my research, what seems to match and meld most cohesively, and what makes most sense to me. And so there are definitely various worldviews, depending again who you're talking to. You may have Vedanta, you may have, you know, the Shakta, the Shivite, which those are actually part of what we're going to be talking about tomorrow in the day one of the 4-week inner realms of the Yogini Temple Dancer.